Alrighty, hello. Welcome, everyone. This is Monday, June 13th, a few minutes after 5 o'clock. I don't know if anyone saw that I was going to be doing this Mystic Monday, Mystic Moon Monday live event. It's not very moony out here. It's still daylight here, and because I'm in a different time zone, I'm having to work accordingly to the time schedule here. So I will talk, and hopefully people will be coming in. I will not be doing any live readings. Hi, Sanan. How are you? I think it's Sanane or Sanan. Hello. Thank you for joining. So we are getting ready for the full moon in Sagittarius tomorrow. It's going to be the super moon. The super moon is when the moon is closest to the Earth. It's the second. It's the second planetary body that we are closest to. So when it moves close, when the moon moves closer to the Earth, that's when the moon looks bigger because we're that much more closer to it, and that's what makes it that super moon effect. So it's been a while since I've done a Mystic Moon episode, so I figured this would be appropriate considering this full moon that we have coming up tomorrow. So I will talk briefly about the phases of the moon, the planet that's currently in, and how it affects us every 2.5 to 3 days, because we are closest, we being the Earth, being closest to the moon. The sun represents external actions, how we come across to people, the way we communicate, our actions, the way that we move, and also works seasonally in that manner as well. So with that sun, with the moon reflecting the sun and the moon being in its fullest state, the sun is currently in the sign of Gemini. Gemini is the opposing sign of Sagittarius. So with Sagittarius being that opposing sign for Gemini, Gemini being air, mutable, ruled by Mercury, and Sagittarius is ruled by primarily Jupiter. So let me drink some water before I continue. So of Sagittarius, let's just focus on the energy of this sign when it's in the full moon. So Sagittarius, we have here, you see me glancing over, I have my cards here. Okay, so this represents optimism, expansion, liberation of the self. That's Sagittarian energy. They need space to move, even though they are a fire sign. They need that space to explore, to move around. And that's pretty much what mutable signs are. Sagittarius is mutable. Gemini is mutable. Virgo is mutable. They need the space to kind of do their work, to explore and to see what's out there. So with those particular characteristics of Sagittarius coming in during the full moon, okay, you have the full moon here. So this is from the Moon Oracle by Carolyn Astrop. And what we have here, I'm sorry, I think it's John Smith and Carolyn Astrop. I think I may have gotten it backwards. We have here the keyword recognition. Now, this here with the Moon Oracle, this deck is influenced through the elements and the phases of the elements: fire, air, earth, water, what these elements go through in all the phases. So here with the full moon, fire, this would represent a full moon if it's in Sagittarius, Leo, or Aries. So it represents those 3 fire elements if the sign is in that full moon. So this can represent different aspects of acknowledgement, attention, recognition, paying attention to the energy of these signs. So if here, with it being Sagittarius, remember, we're looking at wide energy, big energy, because of that Jupiter influence that Sagittarius has. Okay. Everything is growing, everything is moving for Sagittarius. And with the full moon, we're going to see that expansion grow even more. So the thing with Sagittarius that they need to be very mindful of is to watch how they're doing their actions. If it's pushing upon too much on someone, if it's something where it's taking up more space than necessary, it's like it becomes a little bit more ego driven. And that's something with the full moon that we have to watch out for. Now, that opposing sign of Gemini, it comes in handy to work with the opposing energy that Sagittarius has. Okay, so remember, Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Okay, and this is from the Heavenly Bodies astrology deck, which I very much enjoy and embrace when I do my astrology readings. Excuse me. So Gemini, mutable, duality. Things work better in pairs for Gemini. They work better in groups of people, with groups of people. It's that interaction of being with other people that stimulates and activates the intellectual side of Gemini. How they communicate, how they learn and understand. Gemini fuels that Sagittarian energy, because one thing of Gemini is that because of their keen sense of exploration, they want to learn in the process. And so to have that energy of Gemini, the sun sign that we're in right now, Gemini can fulfill and guide that energy of knowledge for Sagittarius. So with the full moon tomorrow, the full moon takes place tomorrow. It's early in the morning. We're looking at the time of 4:51 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, and that will be 7:51 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So that's the peak of that energy of the full moon in Sagittarius. Sagittarius moved into its full moon state yesterday, on the 12th at 3:31 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. So as that energy starts building up, we're already moving towards the full moon, but when it reaches that peak, we'll start feeling this focus of wanting to explore different aspects of maybe something that we've been practicing or something that we've been learning. We want to take it to another step. Sagittarius is always pushing those boundaries and wanting to see what's beyond. And so that energy can become very strong during this full moon. So that's what I was saying moments ago about just watching Sagittarius energy to be a little bit too much. Try not to have it push too much upon you. And learn how to communicate during this time. We got Gemini again. Okay, Gemini, if there's any conflict going on with Sagittarius, Gemini can come in and sort of put things into perspective because of that duality of Gemini. It wants to see both sides of a situation. It'll ask questions and it'll ask, well, what do you think about this? Okay, take that one perspective. And then the other perspective comes in. Gemini asks, okay, so we already got that one perspective. What's the other thing that we could see? It wants to see both sides of the situation before going forward. Okay. And that's that air element. It's thinking, it's rationalizing, it's trying to create an understanding and a balance of some sort so that Gemini can move forward in the best way possible. Now, with Sagittarius coming in, that energy can shake it up because it is fire, and it'll hear what's being information's being given to them, but it's up to Sagittarius to take all that information and put it into a set pattern, and that's hard for Sagittarius because Sagittarius likes to move around. And so one thing that I described with Sagittarius is that all that energy, they're looking straight ahead. Their blinders aren't really there. They're a little bit more wide open, and they could be missing opportunities if they're not really staying focused on one thing. So it's like, don't put so much into your hands during this time, because it can be overwhelming and it can be challenging to balance. Okay, so that's that Jupiter energy, grow and expand, which is perfect. It's great for Sagittarius right now, whether it's sun, moon, or rising, because we do have that moon sign. The moon in Sagittarius will definitely influence those whose moon sign is in Sagittarius. But it will lightly touch upon energy-wise for those who have a sun sign in Sagittarius and a rising. So this reading can still be applied, or this episode can still be applied to the sun and rising signs, but not as much as the moon sign when it's in Sagittarius. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. So what I want to further explore is I pulled 2 cards here from the Moon Oracle deck. And in this deck, they have the phases of the moon from waning to full to waxing, and to new moon. And it also has goddesses. There are 3 to 4 goddesses to represent each of the seasons. And the 2 cards that I pulled out represents another part of the Moon Oracle deck where they talk about the moon mansions. Now, the moon mansions are almost the equivalent to the decans that astrology has, but it's in the placement of the degrees of the moon. Now, the degrees of the moon with the moon mansions are different. Hi, Kali. Hi, B. They are different in relation to the astrological decans. Okay, so the astrological decans represented by Golden Dawn is 0 to 10, 10 to 20, and then 20 to 30. Those are broken up on a monthly basis based on the sun position, or based on the position of the sun as it travels throughout that astrological month. Hi, Rachel. How are you? B, hello. So the 2 cards that I pulled here, I'm going to keep talking, and then we could chat later on. The 2 cards that I'm going to pull, or that I've pulled already, are in relation to the decan that we're in right now. Okay, and I'll explain that in a moment. These are the 2 cards that I pulled in relation to our full moon in Sagittarius. Okay. So you'll probably be seeing tonight, especially out in Europe, if you take a look outside, you're seeing that moon grow, and tomorrow it's going to be at its fullest state. So you'll see that super moon effect where it feels like it's very close. And it's also known as the strawberry moon, and it's not so much when we hear the strawberry moon or the blood moon, it's not so much relation to the color of the moon. It does take on a reddish hue. For this season, the strawberry moon is in relation to the harvesting of strawberries during this time. So that's one of many names that the moon has for each of its phases, especially the full moon. Like we have the wolf moon, we have the cold moon. Um, what other names are there? I think there's a hare moon, which takes place during the spring. So there are all these different names, and they're um, associated to various cultures, Celtic traditions. There's Celtic names for the full moons. There's also indigenous names for the full moon who've taken this practice of working with the moon. Oh, excellent, B. That must look beautiful. Yeah, if you have strawberries growing right now, this is the time to start working on them. But let me show you these two cards here that I have. So the first card, let me work on this. First card that I pulled, this is again from the Moon Oracle deck. Okay, remember I was saying about Gemini duality, that being the opposing sign of Sagittarius. I'm going to move this closer. This is our symbol here, the arrow for Sagittarius. And right after here is Capricorn. So this is more suited towards the winter season because from Sagittarius it moves into Capricorn. But I specifically pulled this card just to kind of work on the energy of Sagittarius. And the dual, the challenging of opposites. What can we do during this time? Here, this is the sun, and here is Mars energy. Mars is very aggressive, it's very active, it's very challenging. People who have strong Marsian planets, like Aries, any of the fire signs that are in Mars, they really like to have things thrown at them. They like a good challenge because it tests them and it pushes their limits and sometimes beyond. And that's where we have to be careful with those fire signs. But the dual here, I want to relate a little bit more to Gemini because of that opposing energy. So I can see during this time of Sagittarius with this energy in the full moon, aggravating. It could be a little bit too much, but it can shake up that energy of Sagittarius in a way that it could maybe be a little bit more on the explosive side, a little bit more on the temperamental side. And so with that kind of energy during that full moon, when it's in any sign, especially fire signs, because it tends to aggravate it when it's in the full moon state, we need to just, pull back that energy. We need to hold back. And I say this with almost all the full moons. The energy is, if the full moon is in a particular sign and it's very aggressive, very, turbulent, just to be mindful of your actions. Okay. Watch what you're saying. See if you're feeling like you're moving very quickly or you're being a little bit more aggressive towards someone, just catch it. Okay. And just turn that point of view around. Okay, so the dual here in relation to Sagittarius and that Marsian energy. Okay, what can we do to become an ally when we're being challenged? Okay, we're faced with something that's really moving us and it's really stirring things up. Hi, Lady Caperanc. So what can we do to really make amends and not to go overboard with that energy? Okay, it's almost like think before you do those actions, think before what you say. Just be mindful. If there's something that's coming upon you that you feel is challenging during this full moon, let's just hold back. Okay, we have that space. Okay, that's created with that Sagittarian energy. Okay, and wanting to look beyond, looking ahead, but Sagittarius too needs to be mindful of being present, seeing what's going on right now, and dealing with any energy or actions at that time. The other card that I have here, okay, now this is related to Gemini. Gemini, we're in our last decan. We're going to be in the sign of Cancer come this weekend, or come next Tuesday, actually, when we move into the summer solstice. So we're in this last week of Gemini, and then once we get into that, into the time of the summer solstice, we move into the sign of Cancer. But look at this here. Look at the difference in energy. Okay, this is Gemini right here, moving into Cancer. Okay, we got the keyword of visitor. Now look how we can work with these energies here. And to balance it. We see similar colors here, the red and the yellow, but here we see it being amalgamated into the dress here of this person. We're seeing the steps to make peace, to understand, and to, how can we work the situation in a better way that it benefits both of you, And so it's really important to realize these opposing energies in any of the signs. Good night, B. Thank you for popping in. Thank you so much. Take a look at that full moon before you go to sleep. Just kind of look at it before you go to sleep and just kind of take in that energy. We're still in the sign of Sagittarius, so just kind of ease with the energy that you're feeling. Okay, B? And thank you for checking in with me. All right. I hope you're doing great. Let's see. Glad to be leaving Gemini. Too much duality for me as a Pisces. Yeah, it's this particular month of Gemini is interesting. And actually, I keep glancing over because I have notes here and I have my astrological calendar. I'm going to go back to this card. Earlier this morning, 8:26 a.m., we cleared retrograde last week, but we are now in Mercury and Gemini. We're in the house or in the planetary placement of where Gemini resides in. So that's actually where my Mercury is. But I'm still feeling a little bit not too clear because I'm talking and I'm trying to gather my thoughts together because I have so much that's in my head. So it's trying to really express this in a very clear fashion. So if something doesn't sound clear, please let me know in the comments, okay? Because I can't talk fast because everything makes sense to me. I want to make sure it's clear to you, okay? Hi, Nancy. Welcome. So let's go back to this, okay? Again, this is all about the energy of the full moon in Sagittarius and how to work with this energy, okay? So, and the opposing sign of Gemini. Okay, so look at the dual purpose of here, working through challenges and struggles. Someone's going to have to give. You can't keep struggling. Someone will have to be weakened. Someone will have to bow down. And then at that point, once the cooling process has taken place, you can look back and say, hey, let's really think about this. So I want to say these two cards, the visitor and dual, those keywords, are just not even looking at the keywords, just looking at the images. Okay. Seeing things in a different perspective, moving that energy in a different way. And especially as we move into Cancer. Cancer is a water sign. So we're dealing with a lot of emotions and intuitive energy. So this would be a nice transition during this last week before we move into the sign of Cancer to let's just start, being a little bit more expressive, more from the heart, and building this connection between the mind and the heart. It's like, I said something the wrong way. I said in the wrong context. But again, what can we do to change that situation? You're watching your I shouldn't laugh. But yeah, it's just making use of this energy to balance it out. And so when you're interacting with someone who just doesn't have that understanding and creating that balance within themselves, it comes across, differently in many different ways. So you have to make sure that when you're dealing with that kind of energy, and if it's something that you do need to interact with, just don't be walking on eggshells because you have to approach it, but just, weigh, with that Gemini energy, weigh both sides of the situation, see both sides of it, and go up to the podium, go up to that situation and say, hey, what's going on? We're trying to be fair. It sounds a little bit more Librian, but that's also what Gemini is about. It's about harmony. It's about finding that connection, making that connection with someone else, so that you can understand and that there's no issues uh, coming along from that. And so it's very important to understand that, Lady Capera. um, we're also in Gemini 3, the third decan, which is the 10 of Swords. Okay, so that 10 of Swords is the end. Okay, this is the last week until June 20th, 21st, again, before we move into that summer solstice. That's it. These are our last few days of light. We slowly start losing that light come after a summer solstice, which won't be apparent until August when we move into the sign of Lammas. So now we're at the apex of summer, everyone. The energy is at its highest. Okay. Summer, I believe the time of day that is at its most strongest is at 12 noon. So summer, 12 noon. I think spring is probably, I think spring is in the east, so probably early in the morning. So let's get as much as we need done to reach that apex of where we want to be, at a point during the summer with ourselves. Oops. Sorry, I have Spirit who wants to come in. No, 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 no. You can always meow. Come on, I'm live. Come on, come on. So anyhow, sorry about that. That's my other entertainment there. So we're at the peak of summer. Okay, so now in the next few months, as this energy starts slowly waning down, and we start moving towards the harvest season in the coming months, this is the time to just move everything up, get everything completed, and tying up any loose ends, and that'll continue through the summer, but the the strongest point of that is where we are right now during the summer season. So we have that Sagittarian energy for the full moon, and then our new moon will be taking place in the sign of Cancer in its own sign on Tuesday, June 28th. So when we get into that place during the new moon, especially when it's ruled by its own sign, Cancer is ruled by the moon. We have, hi, Kristen Louise, how are you? We have this time of just moving inward, which is kind of contradictory when you think about it, right? Because Cancer, crab, the shell, the house, the protectiveness, the inwardness, while summer is that time of expansion, release, getting out. But I feel with that sign of Cancer in the summer months, I think it's best to spend time healing, but healing like the physical body, also the emotional body as well. Mel, hi, how are you? Calla Lizzie? Is this Calla Lily? It has to be. You changed your name. Hi. Um, so we need to, during this Cancer season coming up next week, it's a time of healing, nurturing of ourselves, but we have our shell. There's a time and a place to crawl in, right? But also, let's not stay in that shell. This is summer. This is a time to get out, you know. And so it's a time not to hide. I feel for Cancer, this is a time to start revealing. Okay. And that revelation of the self for any of you who have Cancer, Sun, Moon, or Rising, or even other placements in your planetary astrological chart, this is a time for revealing parts of yourself that you maybe never saw before. Because summer, the sun, everything gets exposed, everything is opened. You can be put in a vulnerable situation. So I think it's very important for Cancer to embrace that. Emotionally, if you're called out on something, embrace it. You can do it. There's nothing to fear. And the moon challenges that. The moon can be as so empowering, but it can also be something that releases and challenges our own fears and challenges our intuition. Let's see here. Okay. Lizzie, that's right. Cal Lizzie. I do remember. I do remember when you sent me a message, your full name. Like, oh. Yes, moon in Cancer. Yeah, anyone who has a moon that's in a water sign, and you can tell for the most part, Pisces, Scorpio, or Cancer. Emotionally, there's something very, very natural for them. Emotionally, the way that they interact, react, um, deal with situations emotionally. It's very much honed in that placement. Okay, I know Scorpio and Pisces aren't ruled by the moon, but they are water energized signs. So they feel the moon. They feel the workings of the moon, but where their planetary placements are, specifically Scorpio and Pisces, can determine how they deal with certain things based on their sign. How am I dealing, or how am I adjusting? I'm sorry, to my new place. It is, but the weather has gotten very, very warm, hence why I'm wearing cut off a cut off shirt and why I'm glistening here. It's been extremely warm out here, and I'm looking forward this summer to exploring other places here in New Mexico. So, but I'm getting an early taste of the heat. We got up to like 104 a few days ago, and so that kind of KO'd me. But I'm doing okay. It's I'm still in transition and seeing how things are gonna work out for me here. So for now, things are fine. Taking it as it comes. You know. Yeah, I think it's taking me a little bit longer to get used to this heat, considering where I was a few months ago. I think right now the mountains are probably, I haven't looked, they're probably like 80 degrees back in Southern California. I'm guessing maybe a little bit cooler. But I have the mountains here about 30 minutes away, but I have to double check because of the fires up here in New Mexico. I believe they've closed all the national forests throughout the state, including the Sandia Mountains. So I need to double check that because I want to go back up there and do another hike, which which just reminded me so much of home. It's wonderful to, oops, did I say home? Remind me so much of living in the mountains. Yeah, I'm told by some of the long-term residents here that July tends to be a little bit cooler if rains do come. We have some rain clouds here in the distance for like probably 4 or 5 days, but they haven't produced anything of rain. So it's been it's been a tease, and we can definitely use the rain here. But yeah, it's beautiful nonetheless as I'm looking outside the window here. I don't know. I'll try. Let's see if I can. I don't know if you'll be able to see. I don't think you're going to be able to see. It's my water bottle, of course, over the wall. Well, maybe you can see. No, you can't see it too clearly. Just here on the lip, right over there, if I move my finger, there's the star of the mountain range. And you can probably see the clouds there. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how things work out. Like I said, I'm looking towards the end of the summer to see about some other potential places to set roots in for the time being. So we will see. Yeah, I can imagine that, Lady K. Just like where you are in the Sierra Nevadas up north, I know that heat can get up there as well. So I think we share a similar climate, except here it's just very, very dry. It is extremely dry. Rachel, yes, I know about Carlsbad Caverns. Last time I was there was with my parents, and I was a kid, and I hardly remember anything of it, but I see pictures in my family photo album of my mom and dad and myself at Carlsbad Caverns, but I just do not remember. Yeah, the bats. I may, if I can, I'd like to see if I can make a trip to Carlsbad, because I want to go to White Sands, New Mexico, which is south. I think Carlsbad is going a little further east, excuse me. So I need to route something like that, but I think I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait maybe towards the tail end of summer and maybe head up north, like to Taos at some point, so it's cooler up there. There's just a few things I need to gauge out while I'm here. So when I'm able to go, and the time, and also the season, how hot it is. I don't want to get there and I'm really uncomfortable and I can't really go out and visit. So I'll probably go like the later part of the day or maybe the early part of the morning, and pay visits to some of the hotter areas of New Mexico. The Painted Desert. Nancy. The Painted Desert. How come that rings a bell? Can you remind me of the Painted Desert, where that is? Yeah, I mean, I've seen like the bats flying out, and not when I was there, but I've heard and seen videos of it. I'll see if I can get there. I'm just being hesitant because I'm being hesitant because I don't want to put too much on my plate right now. And I don't want to push my car too much, especially when it's extremely hot like it is. I think down south, actually, let me see. I can look on my phone. Let's just see how hot it is in. So I'm going to do a quick check here. Let's do Carlsbad, New Mexico. Wow, 107 degrees in Carlsbad. 103, 98, 97, 98. Yeah, it's hot there. We may get some thunderstorms later on this week. Hope so. Hopefully it'll be wet thunderstorms and just not thunder and lightning. Um, but yeah, that's pretty hot, and I don't want to be driving for hours in that heat. But again, I'll plan things accordingly. Um, yeah, Rachel, I did hear people using sleds to go down the White Sands. I'm not going to use a sled. If anything, I'll probably roll down the mountain. You know, because the sand is very soft. Um, that may be the silliest thing that I do, but for the most part, I just want to walk across it. Um, it let's see, when it rains, it makes the dunes slick, so you can go down them fast. Wow. Are you in the Southwest, Rachel? You don't have to say what state you're in, but you seem to know quite a bit about New Mexico. Um, thank you, Nancy. Okay, it's close to the petrified forest. Yeah, hell no, right? 107 degrees. Yeah, it's I can stay in that heat for a little bit, but driving through it and coming out of an air conditioned car, it's that open the oven effect kind of thing, and you're just like you just get keto. Um, but yeah, I'll plan it out. And yes, Rachel, of course, I feel no pressure. There's just so many places I want to go, and they seem to be in opposite ends of the state. So I have to plan that out somehow. Sorry for the truck noise. I traded mountain life in for desert life, but I'm by a street that's extremely busy. It's a boulevard, so there's cars passing through all the time. So apologies for the noise. Rachel, I actually live in Michigan, but my mom would take us. Ah, well, come back and visit. Come over and visit. I can only imagine a lot of these places now are probably they're overrun with tourists. So a lot of families are there and whatnot. So, one thing I was told, and maybe I'll do it over one of the full moons. I was told at White Sands, New Mexico, that they offer a guided tour. Are you ready for this? During the full moon, every full moon, they do a guided tour of White Sands. So I think that would probably fuel me to go definitely by the end of the summer to take part in that. I think that would be wonderful. And if I can do that or plan a trip around that time, um, I would definitely take pictures. I'll see if I could shoot video and share it, because that has to be wonderful. You're in White Sands and you have this full moon that is reflecting down onto the sands. Um, I It probably looks like the backyard of where I was living in the mountains when it would snow, and my backyard's covered in snow, and I have the full moon. It looks beautiful. The full moon on a snow blanketed backyard is just ethereal. It's pretty amazing. Uh, yeah, I'm just curious as to how that looks. I don't want to get caught up too much in seeing pictures, because then I'm gonna be, oh, that's what it looks like, and then I'm not gonna be inspired to go. But I'll still go. I'll still make a trip out there. I just don't want to get too over influenced by seeing things. Yeah, yeah, exactly, Cal Lizzie. Exactly. It's that's sort of how the snow looks like. When the sun hits it, or when the moon hits it. You know, because it's ice crystals, you just get that nice glittery effect. And I've tried taking pictures from when I was back at the house up in the mountains, but the phone that I had just it couldn't do justice. All what you would see is just white, and you couldn't tell what it was. But they do get snow here. You have to go up to it a bit. Um, at the local mountains for skiing, but for the most part, it's not heavy like it was back in the mountains. So yeah. Any questions? Does anyone want to chat? I don't want to derail from the conversation. I'm totally happy to talk about this. Does anyone have questions about the full moon? Um, does anyone have moon in Sagittarius? How has everyone been feeling? As we get towards the tail end of spring and we welcome in summer. Okay, strawberry moon. Let me read. I'm going to answer that now. Cal Lizzie, after a nice storm, I remember how beautiful it was. It killed everything but gorgeous. Yeah, it literally freezes. Everything becomes still. No, because it is snow. It is frozen water. Everything gets encased. And there's a eerie moment or eerie uh, time of silence, especially at night during the full moon and you have all the snow. It's just there's something very, very eerie about it. And then in the distance, you hear something pattering in the back, and then you start hearing howling. And then we get the wolves, letting us know where they are. The strawberry moon is, excuse me, is related to the seasonal picking of strawberries. Now, I know we have climate change that's going on, so this is going to vary where you are, but traditionally, the strawberry moon of this full moon tomorrow, it's just in relation to the season, the time to harvest strawberries where they're at their fullest. Um, it's not so much in relation to like the blood moon, the color of the moon, because it will be a little red tomorrow, and the coloring, the discoloration that you see of the moon is just the atmosphere, because this it's going to be a super moon, so we're going to be closer to it. So whenever we get these wide, these strong moons that seem like they're coming right at us, it's just that they're closer. The moon is closest to Earth, and so it picks up anything that's in the air. And it's unfortunate because it goes to show the state of our environment when that moon um, becomes red. And I haven't seen a red moon in quite some time. But that'll probably change because, with things opening up um, globally, we're going to have more air pollution out there. So that's going to affect, if not already, the environment and, how it interacts with the moon in relation to its coloration. Cracking the top layer of snow as you walk or run from the from the wolves. I'm not outside when I hear those wolves, Lizzie, or Cal Lizzie. I am inside. Spirit is just was upstairs in the room and just looking out the window, what's going on out the window. And I have not heard any coyotes here, but I think I saw one the other week crossing the street. And like I said, this is a big street that's right behind me. Um, so I was very hesitant about having spirit go out, and especially when it's warm. It's all creatures will come out. The snakes, scorpions, anything, they'll come out at night. So I'm very mindful of when spirit goes out. So it's cooling down a little bit, but it's still too hot for spirit. So he was around here, and he's under the table right now. He's not a fan of this hot weather at all, and I can't blame him with that coat of hair that he has on him. So he's doing what he can to stay cool. Coyotes all over my neighborhood coming out from, yeah. And if you're probably also the reason why I don't see or hear a lot of coyotes is because I'm not right in the mountains, or at least at the base. I'm at least 20 to maybe 30 minutes away to the base of the mountains that are over here on the east. But I think what I saw that one time last week, it looked like a coyote. It was just galloping, not running, but galloping across the street. Um, so yeah, that's not a good sign. And also, they're thirsty, they're hungry. Yeah, yeah. They, like I said, they're thirsty and they're hungry. They come out the daytime. I do. I've been brushing Spirit almost every day or every other day because he's been shedding quite a lot, and so the house that I'm at has carpeting through pretty much throughout the house. So there's hair wherever he sits. Primarily in our room is where he stays the most. But yeah, it comes out, and so I have been brushing him more frequently, and he looks thinner because of it. Um, but he's gotten kind of heavy because he's not getting that workout of being outdoors in the mountains, running up trees, and chasing squirrels or anything like that. Um, the house overside on this wall here has, and I've mentioned this before, has a very large backyard, and there's some trees up there. It's quite beautiful, and there's a paved walkway. I believe it's an Airbnb, but they did a beautiful job with the backyard. So the times I'm here and Spirit's out, he jumps over the wall, and I can sort of see, but then he runs off into a bush somewhere. I know that's where he's at because it has the trees and it has that kind of environment that more than likely reminds him of being back in the mountains. Um, oh, bears are coming out, huh, Lady Capera? Um, just yeah. I haven't seen any snakes or scorpions. Um, the first the first few days that I was here, my friend and his girlfriend, they showed me this because I was up in the room, and I came downstairs, and they're like, "Look what we saw here in the living room," and she showed me her phone. So apparently, a tarantula somehow made its way into the house, and so they were able to dispose of it over the wall, not on the neighbor's side, but on the street side. And so that kind of freaked me out a little bit because I started thinking, where is a tarantula coming in? Is there a nest? Is there something here in the house? I haven't seen anything. So I'm careful, especially when I leave my shoes, shake the shoes out in case something crawls inside, kind of bang it against the floor in case something does go inside, because you do not want to put your foot into a shoe and have something there greeting you. Um, oh, hell no, yes. Um, so I'm aware, I'm aware of all these little things here. Um, but yeah, uh, tarantula. It's a pretty chunky one. Ugh. Anyhow, yeah, no tarantulas. I haven't seen any tarantulas. I haven't really walked out in the desert just yet. I did when I went to the petroglyphs the first weekend that I was here. Um, I didn't physically see anything. Usually you can tell if there's snakes in the areas. You just see that pathway going across, that pathway across the sand or the dirt. And then you know that something's been in the area. Or you hear rattling, you know, it could be jackrabbits or anything like that. Um, yeah. Wow, Nancy. Do you let's see, Lady Capera. and Nancy, do you see the bears just coming out during this time of the year? The spring and summer months? Because the last time I saw bears was during the pandemic in the summer when we were having fires down the hill in the mountains, or not in the mountains, but down at the base of the mountains. And I had a mama bear and three, not two, three of her cubs. They were playing in my neighbor's backyard. Very adorable. I had just come back from a hike, and just as I was walking up the pathway that leads to my door to the home, faces the property, my backyard property, and also a portion of my neighbor's. So when I was walking up and I looked, I saw, I thought it was a statue of a bear. I thought my neighbor put up like a wooden statue or something of a bear. It's like, oh wow, that's new. That's a bear. And then it moved. And then I'm like, oh my God. And then at the corner of my eye, I saw something large move. And that's when I saw one of the cubs. And my neighbor had like a large, like awning made out of wood. And one cub went up, and because they're spacing in between the awnings, started doing jungle gym on it. Just started like swinging from one to the other, and another cub did the same thing. I have never seen anything so precious in my life. And I was just recording this, and then eventually the mama bear came down, or the cubs came down, and mama bear went walking right across the backyard. So adorable. But, whenever there's mama bear, you gotta, give her space. And she walked away. And then like maybe 15 minutes later, I started hearing dogs barking. So I'm assuming they went up the side of the mountain in our neighborhood and just went elsewhere. But that was just amazing. So when you see stuff like that, when you see, rare opportunities like that, I can't get scared. I give Mother Nature the space that it needs, but it's just so wonderful, but also sad to see them, because they were looking for food, they're looking for water, because it was a very warm day, and so just to kind of see them going into property, to try and find some food or water was a bit disheartening, but it's a fact of life. It's survival that these animals do, and that's why I love animals so much. There's a lot to learn from them. Yeah, that's one of the first things I was told when I moved up to the mountains, is that if you see any bear, and especially if it has cubs, keep away, stay a good distance. So luckily, my walkway was overhung the backyard, so all I had to do is walk, and I wasn't walking right into the face of the bear. Not that I would do that, but I kept the video. I have the video of it on my phone, so I could show it to people. It's like, look what came in my backyard when I was living in the mountains. But yes, we will see what the next few months will hold. I also want to let people know, I may change the day and the time. I'm not certain, but right now I have it set for the live Litha summer solstice, my lives that I always do during each of the Sabbats. I have it set for next Tuesday, or I'm sorry, for next Monday. Forgetting what day it is. I have it set for next Monday at 10:30 Pacific Daylight Time in the morning, 11:30 a.m. I'm sorry, 10:30. I'm thinking my time. 10:30 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time is what I have set for next Monday for the live. So it'll be in the morning, and we'll talk about the energy of the summer solstice. I will do my readings for the summer solstice, which I normally do. I'll pull a few cards, and then if probably a day before, I'm going to do a full reading to represent the seasons of the months of the summer, July, August, and September. So the readings will cover Cancer, Leo, and Virgo. Those are the three signs that represent the start, the middle, and the end of summer. So I do a 9-card reading for each of those months. I won't do it during the live because that's going to be time consuming. I will pull a few cards as guides as we enter summer, and then I will record a separate video discussing the energies for July, August, September, Cancer, Leo, and Virgo. Okay, so hang tight for that. What else do I have to say? I will be doing live readings. I was going to do one yesterday, but I had a long work week, and the heat just kind of knocked me off my feet, and I didn't feel that I was very cognizant enough to do readings because I was very tired. And so I didn't want to start falling asleep while doing readings. Not that I would, but, not be focused. So I will do live readings, I don't know, soon. Between now and next week, hopefully, if I can squeeze that in. So yeah. So we have Litha as of now for next Monday, the 20th, at 10:30 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, 1:30 Eastern Daylight Time. That would be, let's see, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 in the evening, European or British time. So stay tuned for that. Summer solstice is on the 21st of June on Tuesday. Okay, so I'm going to do this a day early or possibly on Sunday. I know Sunday is Father's Day. So there's a chance that I may push it to that date. But as of now, I'm going to leave it for Monday the 20th. Just, tap the notification bell so you can see if I decide to change it. Just keep track. Just watch if there will be a change for that. If I do it on Sunday, it'll probably be during the same time in the late afternoon, early evening. Yeah, as the sun is slowly, well, it's going to be the longest day of the year, but at least where the sun isn't so bright and so hot in this room where I do all the recordings for my live videos. Yes, Mel. We are clear of Mercury retrograde. As of this morning, we are Mercury in Gemini. So this is, that's my placement. It's not, it's good, but it really gives my mind a lot to contend with. So Mercury in Gemini, in a nutshell, they like to, how could I best describe Mercury in Gemini? They like to multitask in the mind. Like one part of the mind is doing this, the other part of the mind is processing this, the other part of the mind is wrapping all of that all together and putting it to work somehow. So that's what Mercury in Gemini is. And it was in retrograde, I think in like early May, and then it moved into the sign of Taurus. And once we cleared the retrograde, we are now, Mercury in Gemini proper with no retrograde whatsoever. I want to see if there's anything else here. Yeah, Mercury stationed direct on June 3rd in the sign of Taurus. Let's see, retrograde, yes, Saturn went back to retrograde June 4th. June 28th, Pisces is back in retrograde in the in its own planet of Neptune. So there's a lot of back and forth going on with Neptune with the retrogrades. So let's just be mindful of those forces and those energies during those times. And if you can't remember, you can always go online. There's all these astrological websites that that can, if you want to check out when those retrogrades are clearing or when they're starting, you could keep track of that for each month. So again, station retrograde for Pisces and Neptune is June 28th. And then we're back in retrograde Saturn and Aquarius. Saturn and Aquarius has been really hard. It's been a doozy for the last few years. And then I believe we are Jupiter. Let me see here. I thought I saw somewhere about Jupiter in Aries, which is a really interesting sign. It's very a placement. It's very similar to this card here. Okay, the full moon. I know I'm speaking about Jupiter and I'm showing you this full moon card, but just to emphasize the energy of a lot of movement, a lot of taking action. So remember, again, this full moon in Sagittarius for tomorrow will, especially if your moon is in Sagittarius or it's rising or sun, there's going to be a lot of energy stirring. Okay, there's going to be a lot of attention to the self, to the ego during this time. And that's fine, but don't do it in a way where it's so gratuitous, where it becomes so ego-centered and whatnot. Less me-driven and less connecting with others, with your personality. Don't try to separate yourself from others during this time. Yeah, exactly, Cal Lizzie. Yeah, the retrograde is just that. It's bouncing back and forth, back and forth. Yeah, plan for extra time. I agree. Things just, with retrogrades, I just tell people there's nothing to be scared of any retrograde. We have all these astrological, I can't think of the word right now, sites and people who do readings, and they build up so much hype on it. And that's where we get, all the misunderstandings about and the misleadings of retrogrades or anything spiritual. It just gets sent up in a different direction. And it's kind of ironic because people in the spiritual realm, we're trying to curtail that. We're trying to curtail the fear that comes in any placement of a sign, any readings, any bad cards being, they are portrayed in a negative way. There's always going to be negative and positive, white and dark energy. Everyone, that has to be made clear. It's not all heavy. Okay. And that's where that panic effect comes in, because everything's like retrograde. Oh my God, gotta move. Don't sign the contract now. There are ways to work around that energy. Okay. You slow it down. Retrogrades are just the time of shifting perspectives. That's all what it is. You don't have to alter your life entirely. And I feel the people who do that, they follow it to a T. They're only seeing one side because they're doing what they're being told. They're following their chart to an exact. And there may be situations where, in doing so, things could have changed in a different way. So it's the way that we take this information and what we do with it. Okay. Diviners, we relay the information. What you listen and what you perceive and what you process and what you take here and how it reacts to you here, that's the responsibility of you. Okay. You find someone that you like their readings and it seems to hold a certain connectivity to you and it makes sense to you, you stick to that person. Okay, you don't have to do everything they say, right? Because there's some practitioners that they're doing this just to kind of play the game with people, and then they're like, that's it, not my problem, that's your problem. You made the choice, and this is the result of it, good or bad. Okay, so my motto is take it with a grain of salt. And it's hard because you can't really preach this into the heads of everyone who's had experiences, spiritual experiences, because they took the advice of someone and it went the wrong way. It went the wrong way more than likely because you did exactly what they said, and it was misled to you, or you didn't, and you followed your own direction. And maybe things worked out for the better because you took bits and pieces of what was given to you instead of the whole picture. Okay. Hello, Irene. How are you? You're getting close to a winter solstice in the coming days over there. So happy Yule, happy early Yule and winter solstice. Irene, can you let us know how cold it is? Because over here we're about 100 degrees, so I hope that makes you feel good. 8 degrees. Okay, I just saw your comment now. Oh, how funny, Irene. I just saw your comment after after I just asked you what the temperature was like. Um, Mel, today I know that it just seems like the air is so heavy, but retrogrades seem to do that to you. Retrogrades, Mel, may make you feel like that, okay, but not necessarily. When something isn't going right, we all automatically go, it's retrograde. Some of it's joking, some of it's like, oh yeah, my series of bad luck has to do with the retrograde or whatever. But you just, you move through it. But yeah, retrogrades. I mean, last month it was a doozy, but I went with it. There's nothing you can do when things happen. You can have retrogrades and nothing happens, you know, whether it's in your sign or whatnot. It wasn't too bad last month because I knew the planetary placements and where the energy was, because I had that full moon in Scorpio opposing my sun sign of Taurus. That was magical, actually. I went up to the mountains um, the night before that full moon went into effect, and I was just like, "Whoa! Look at this! The full moon's lunar eclipse." And then we're going through retrograde and stuff. So I think I felt the more of the intensity, the passion, the desire that Scorpio builds up when it comes to um, the the spiritual side of what's going on, the intuitive side, and everything just felt like everything was in place, but just at an amplified level. Um, but yeah, any retrogrades you take, make what you want from it. Yeah, it does, Calla Lizzie. It definitely does. It's just, again, just slow down. Just watch that step. Let's say if you're walking and you trip on a crack, just slow down. It's just telling you when you trip over something you weren't watching, you weren't aware. You're moving fast. You're thinking fast. You miss something, and that's what I was saying about this full moon in Sagittarius, because Sagittarius is a very driven, fiery sign. It just likes to keep going. Its blinders aren't really, fully opened, and it's just going, and they're missing. I feel that some people with strong Sagittarius, they're missing something. That they're not slowing down enough to really assess and see the this the issue, the matter that's at hand. They just see it for what it is, and they deal with what's going on. Yeah. Hi. Sorry. Sorry. I'm jumping between the chats here. That sounds wonderful, Mel. 50s, sleeping weather. I think tonight, because here in New Mexico, it's higher elevation, so it's about 5,000 feet. So the evenings, from what I see here, are like in the 60s. The other night, it was like 11 o'clock when we hit over 100. It was about, I think it was 82 degrees, 11 at night. It was very hard to sleep. There's no AC in this house. It's something like a swamp cooler, but better than a swamp cooler. I can't remember what it's called, but it kept the room, it kept the house cool. Still a little bit warm, but it kept it cool. But again, it's just me adjusting to all of this. Yeah, the fan of having a fan would be nice because the vents in this particular home, some of them don't work, or some of them work at half capacity. Luckily, the room that I have, it's the room that gets the air first. And then I have to leave the door open so that cool air can go into the hallway. I think there's a vent in one of the other rooms here as well. So it's just opening up that space when people are here so that they can benefit from the cool air. But yeah, it's we'll see. We'll see what July holds. I'll just say that because it's still too early to say. But so far, everyone's been saying it's been a very unusual um, start to the summer. I hope it does cool down a little bit. It'd be nice to see some summer rain here, which may come with flooding if there's a lot of rain. Okay, so I'm going to take a few sips of water and I'm going to wind this up. Yeah. So yeah, Lady Capera, we are sharing the same kind of mountain desert environment. Um, so I feel what you're feeling, vice versa. So yes, tomorrow, full moon. Take a look at it. The upside with Sagittarius and that Jupiter influence is, yes, Cal Lizzie, um, is that optimism, that things will be good, that things can be good. Keeping everything on the lighter side, and that's again what I was saying. Um, During this full moon, especially with that sign of Sagittarius, things can get over the boiling point with energy and being a little bit more demanding. So we want that energy to kind of fall back. Okay. The full moon, the best way to deal with energy, especially in those fire signs, because emotionally it stirs up that energy, is just slow it down. Sometimes the full moon can balance out those energies for those signs. Um, that's fire and water, Sagittarius, Leo, and Aries. When they're in those full moons, those are opposing energies. So even though we emotionally will feel that, but we also need to um, understand the cooling aspect of the moon, the nurturing aspect. The same goes with the new moon. Okay, the new moon is that void, it's dark. That's the place of stillness with that moon energy. And the full moon is that place of action, emotional stillness with the new moon, emotional action with the full moon. Again, all based on the signs and their elements of influence for those signs. And of course, a planetary influence for those signs. So we will see. Let's see here. Yes, you are drinking a frozen. I can't even tell you how many bottles of water that I've been drinking since I've moved here. It's been virtually impossible to stay hydrated. It really is. I'm going to have to live with it somehow. I can only drink so much water. Mel, I do Christmas knitting in the summer to help me think about the cold days. That's a good idea. Just don't put the heat on. Okay, just don't put the heat on. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you. That's very kind of you. Oh, you're crocheting tarot pouches. Excellent. It's a wonderful life. Oh, that's great. You're welcome, Rachel. Thank you. My skin, well, I'm older now, so it's not as bad. I mean, you pinch the skin and it bounces back. That's the test to see if you're dehydrated, so that's good. But I'm feeling it here, as you can tell, because when I talk, this area gets extremely parched. And this is my stronghold, Taurus. This is my stronghold. So for the summer, you're going to probably see a lot of this in the videos. But yeah, the skin seems to be okay. My feet, a little bit on the drier side, it's very similar almost to my hands. The tips of my hands are having a hard time with water. So I'm just checking to see where spirit is. Oh. Okay. I'm not plugged in, so I'm going to share with you something very, very cute. Okay. You turned 58. Wow. Whoa, Lady K. You look amazing. You look amazing. Okay, so let's see. I have to do this because my computer is hot. So if you get dizzy, everyone just kind of look away. Well, let's see here. All righty. Because he is not going to come up. Do you want to say hello? Do you want to say hello? There we go. Some people want to say hello to you. Want to say hi? Oops, let's go this way. He's like, hi, everyone. I am hot. And he has an AirTag collar. That's something new. Okay, so let me go up here. Sorry, everyone. Some people always ask about spirit. Alrighty. He's just tired. He's just like over it. He's just like heat. I've left the door open for him to go out, but he just does not want to go out. He just does not want to go out. And he did this when I was up in the mountains, when it got up to the 90s the last few summers. He just goes out for a little bit, comes out, and just plops out. Oh, spirit's too dignified. No. He may think it, but he's been on a great journey in the last 2 years. We both of us would have never thought that we'd be hightailing it out of California. But this is where we are right now. Um, okay. Also, too, I think because of the dryness, he's been sneezing a lot. So I think it's the pollen, whatever he gets exposed to. He's been sneezing. His nose isn't running, so that's a good sign. And he's not hacking up. So I think he has like some summer allergies. Hi, baby. He's now sitting on the seat here next to me. So I think he has some sensitivity to what's out there currently. So I kind of have to watch that. There's not so much I can do about that, but it seems like after we get through the summer, his sneezing becomes less. So it could be just the dust as well. Multiple sclerosis, yes. You're managing with it because I know you've mentioned, Lady Capera, that the heat tends to aggravate it. I don't know how you do in the winter. I don't know if the winter months actually helps you with dealing with the discomfort of having MS. Yeah, cats can develop allergies to food, but also to the outdoors. So this is something that he hasn't been diagnosed with allergies, but the first year that I had him when we entered from spring into summer, he did have an upper respiratory infection. So um, we took steps to take care of that. So he was on antibiotics and he was clear of that. But then I noticed the next summer, um, he was doing the same thing. He was sneezing, but there was nothing coming out. And the only thing I could think of is just the change of the season, uh, what's being emitted out into the environment. He, you know, I don't know where he goes. He goes maybe into bushes, and there's other things that come from the desert that gets caught in the bushes, and maybe it aggravates because cats are sniffers. That's how they sense their environment. So maybe something got caught with him. So I am watching that it doesn't grow, but it seems to be manageable. It seems to be okay. Let's see. Oh, it's different symptoms, Mel, for you. Um, I don't see why it would. Yeah, yeah. It's also related to their immune system, and again, I don't know Spirit's background. Um, I don't know if he was dumped or if he ran away or whatnot. But he wasn't a scrawny cat at all. He was actually a little bit on the heavier side. He was 14 pounds by the time I got him to the doctor, um, and we got him down to we got him down to probably about 3 to 4 pounds less because I changed his diet. I changed him to a raw food diet, and that raw food diet was good, but I changed it. I changed it last year because I don't think it was actually benefiting him. It kept him slender, but his appetite was still very, very strong, and he would at times be destructive with some things. And now since I've his diet is kibble, but with raw, he seems to be doing quite a bit better. Um, and I think also too, he's 4 years old when I found him. He was aged at 2, so I think there was it's that growing stage of getting used to being in a new home, the environment, so on and so forth. But I can feel already he's gained weight, that he's a bit on the heavier side. Not fat, but he's just, he's not moving around as much now because of not being outside and being as active. Okay, I think that's it, everyone. It is a little bit after 6:30 my time. I hope to see you all either next Sunday or Monday when I do the live summer solstice meditation, reading, and discussion. So please come and join me for that. Come with any questions, any stories you want to share. And I'll see if I could pop up another video between now and then. It's going to be kind of tough because I'm back to a regular week until next weekend. So I'll see what I can do. I have stuff going on. I've been trying to do a live with someone else, but it's been difficult to get planning done. It's the summer. Everyone's doing things. Everyone is being a little bit more active. So it's been kind of hard to bring in other guests, but that'll happen when it happens. You want to go out, Spirit? Okay. I'll let you out in a moment. Let's see. Yes. So take a look at that full moon. I like the strawberries there, Rachel. Thank you. And just let the effects of the moon do what it needs to do. Okay. If it feels like it's too intense, just move indoors. Okay. It is the super moon again, so we'll feel the energy, a little bit more, especially Sagittarius and those that are fire signs. Just be a little bit more careful with that energy at that time. Have a wonderful night. Yes, everyone. Thank you so much. Lizzie, I have to get used to the name now. Rachel, Mel, Lady Capera Ankh, Nancy, for joining me. Who else did I have come in? Irene, Akali Sunflower. I know she went to sleep already. But thank you for just coming in, listening a little bit about the energy of the moon and how to work with these opposing energies. I want to show you these two last cards that represent the energy here, the struggles that we could have at this time with the Sagittarian energy, fighting with opposing forces. While here in Gemini, we can take that energy and fuse it in a way of trying to build understanding and clarity on the situation. So let's take this energy if things feel a little bit too intense during this time, during this week. Okay, and I also mentioned the third decan of Gemini, 10 of Swords. So things are coming to an end. It may have been a very aggressive time the last week for some, but we now move on. Okay, so we're moving into a healing state as we go into the sign of Cancer. Okay, so stay tuned for the follow-up for my readings for Cancer. And I'm going back to doing the decan readings instead of doing everything based elementally. It just makes it so much easier. And the readings can be applied to all the signs. Alrighty. So have a good night, everyone. Stay cool, drink lots of water, look up at that sun, and just keep things very light and very clear. Things seem to be getting a bit too much. Okay. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Bye-bye.